I'm getting better at this.
Every episode, progress, not perfection.
Hey, man, I got the intro right once.
Hey, trust me, we were talking about that. I was like, I was so proud. Alrighty. We're in. A little 3, 2, 1 action.
Well, okay, so a good idea is to use like processing to like make the podcast sound better. Bad idea is to not remove them from the side channel. So when you bounce out the audio, it creates a delay, and then you have to redo it the night of, and people don't listen.
Yes, that is definitely a bad idea. And if you are not aware of what we mean, that means you are one of the people who did not listen to last week's episode,
or you chose to listen later.
Or later. But our apologies. You know, we're guys who start fires for a living. We make a couple of mistakes here and there. Never with fire, but with audio. So last week's episode had us sounding like Darth Vader for a little bit.
Don't give me an out, because I did work in audio for I don't know how many years.
Trying to help you out.
No. It's just one of those things where I just never put it, like, just something I didn't know, like, I didn't think about, like, when I bounce the audio file out, one of the processing chains, if it's not even like if it's muted, even if it's like in the side channel, it will cause an effect.
That's true. But you know what? Actually, it's not your fault. It's their fault, because if you heard audio issues, you should have gone over to our YouTube and watched the video there where the audio was immaculate.
Yeah.
And you could see that wonderful beard of yours.
The audio I didn't touch.
That's why I said it was immaculate. No, but seriously, guys, we have a brand new thisweekinbarbecue.com website. The link is in the bio, in the show notes. Heck, I'll even send a smoke signal if necessary. And if you're not watching us live right now, go there. Go hit the watch live button, top right when you get on the page, and watch us. You don't have to look at me. Just look at Brian. It's a better view.
I mean, they have to look at you sometimes.
Yeah, well, close your eyes. Just do really long blinks. Whenever you hear his voice, open your eyes.
Or just, you know what? Throw it on another tab so you don't have to look at either of us, but just listen.
That works as well.
Yeah.
But
make it like tab 18.
Tab 18. Goodness gracious, I got so many of those. You want to do the intro?
Are we good to do the intro?
I think we can do the intro.
Okay. So, hold on. Sorry, I'm taking notes on what time the intro starts, and like so I can actually edit this properly.
Oh, well, I mean, you could leave the previous stuff in too, but yeah. I mean,
I gotta get out of clicking that.
We do. Well, I don't understand.
Like I even clicked it under the table. It's just a habit that I unclick it and click it.
I'm gonna get your standard ballpoint.
No, I have one right here too.
That's just sad. That's sad. Bring us on. Come on.
Welcome to This Week in Barbecue, the barbecue podcast where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything in between about barbecue. I'm your co-host, Brian Hull, and joining me as always is the dreaded
Rasheed Phillips.
Oh, see, the dreaded's a terrible...
It is, actually.
Yeah, actually.
Did you, a little history fact, ladies and gentlemen. Dreadlocks is actually a derogatory term because when the explorers saw the melanated people with the hair like this, they said it's the dreaded people. So that's where dreadlocks come from. So that's why I always say I've just got locks. Nothing dreadful about this beautiful hang time.
So can I redo that since I just totally
No, we're going to leave that in.
Okay. The luscious locks of...
Rasheed Phillips. Ooh,
there we go.
That's nice. I'm going to put that on the business card. Luscious locks.
A little alliteration for you.
No, I love it, man.
Did I use that properly?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, this is great. I dig it. I've never been introed. I like that.
All right. All right. Well, you know what? Good thing I screwed up and got the history lesson.
There it is.
Because we can all... The best thing to do is learn.
Hey, and that is a wonderful segue into the weird tongue lashings I got because of our last episode on sexism. 95% of people were like, yes, please talk about it. We appreciate you talking about it because no one does, especially in this community. There's no one with a platform is doing it. But then there's that odd 5% like, hey, don't talk about it. It's going to mess up your money with your corpse or, let it be. Or why are we still talking about things like this? It doesn't exist. I'm like, well, let me give you a little reason of why me discussing it is important. One, I have 3 sisters. If you've met any of them, you already know why I have to, speak on stuff like this. But also that really, really hits for me is my littlest, biggest fan, Kira, wants to be a pitmaster. She legitimately shows a true interest. She comes and helps me out at my events. I've taught her to slice brisket, how to serve, how to, treat people well. And I would be doing her the biggest injustice possible if I didn't at least voice and try to bring light to that particular issue. Because by doing so, all I can do is hope that by the time she really takes the reins and fully enters this community, that I've made it a little bit better than it was beforehand. So if you don't dig it, there's not much I can say for you. I'm not sorry. The things need to change, and change never happens from quiet conversation.
Yeah, and I want to correct something I said last week. I mentioned a place having an inclusion panel. It was a spot having actually harassment training that they desperately needed. But it doesn't fix everything that they already, I'm going to use colorful language, fucked up on.
And we're explicit this episode. Got it.
I thought we were explicit every episode.
It's very true, but at least this time it's your fault, not
Yeah,
mine.
yeah. I try, I hold it in. I'm terrible outside of the podcast, but I try to cherry pick when I drop one.
No, I get it, brother. And thanks for getting that correction. And also, I think that was really the only correction we had to have. And people wanted to know
Right.
where it was and what it is. And you have a reason for why you don't specifically name certain businesses.
I mean, I just don't want to give them pub.
Yeah.
I don't, if you want to know who it is, message me. I'll send you the post. I don't want to give them the spotlight on an episode.
Yeah.
I also feel like we give enough information that you could.
Yeah, you can probably figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Google.
And then one other thing is we were talking about, and I felt bad that it took me so long to think of them. We were talking about name 5 pitmasters.
Yeah.
There was one person that I forgot that I had to mention, Mrs. Helen Turner of Helen's Barbecue.
Of course.
I couldn't work in her pit room. That's how badass she is.
I don't think most people could.
No. I know I couldn't work in her pit room. And so her spot's one of the bucket list spots that I want to go to. And I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that it's just something I got to get better. I got to know who is out there and being a badass in barbecue.
Yeah, and that's why we do this show, because we actually research. We don't just make this stuff up. We're looking for news. We're looking for information. We're trying to condense it all down so that it's entertaining and it's informative for everyone. And we legitimately mean it in the opening. We are going to cover the good, the bad, and everything in between. And sometimes that everything in between really rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And telling someone to just focus on cooking is the equivalent to saying shut up and dribble. And we will leave it at that.
I don't think you could have said it better.
Hey, I'm kind of good with words every here and there. What do we got on the docket for news and such? You want to run through anything?
Well, I mean, I got some good news. A couple places in Texas that have announced physical locations. They're not opening right away, but Sunbird Barbecue, Brian Bingham out in Longview, they finally have a brick and mortar that they're working towards. They have the spot. It's downtown Longview. They're not opening right away. They got to fix some, get some stuff ready to go. But they're moving from a trailer into that. It's been if you've followed Sunbird, it's been an interesting journey from his time at Bodacious. I think it was Bodacious Moberly. Or look, I'm probably going to be wrong about
We fix it in the show notes.
Yeah. There's a couple Bodacious. I'm pretty sure it's Bodacious Moberly. So his falling out there, and then his journey to start Sunbird, and just the whole term Sunbird and the idea of Phoenix rising from the ashes, and kind of his journey. And so it's awesome to see that he's finally getting him and his team getting their spot. Then also Bar A, BQ, Cooper Abercrombie over in Montgomery. So he's also working on a spot. He's been in a trailer for 8 months, and before that he did, 2.5 years of the brewery circuit, which we both know about.
I definitely know that circuit.
So if you aren't familiar with Bar A BQ, the stuff he's making looks absolutely incredible. He is in on the craft. He's trying to just be as good as he can be every single cook. So it's exciting to see him take that next step too.
No, and we'll have all of that in the show notes, and I'll piggyback on some of your news because it touches on 2 points. First, landing in Texas. Shout out to Hurtado and the whole fam and crew out there. They are now the official partners of the Rangers, so that is huge. Barbecue is making its way all up and through the sports. Also, and it's not just the first time. Brian Furman has his restaurant that's in the stadium as well. So you're going to find barbecue around. It's moving. I believe even Matt Horn did a private and multiple private dinners in LA for Nike at the stadium out there. So yeah, it's really cool to see where barbecue is ending up, like the pockets that it's going. Like it's not where you'd usually find it anymore. We're not on the side of gas stations. Not knocking locations that are here. Loom, shout out to you guys. But it's good to see that type of growth. And you talked about Sunbird, Phoenix Rising. My way segue connection to that is our brother in smoke, Mr. Jonathan Jones of Jonathan Barbecue. He's released a Mexican amber lager in conjunction with Kitsune Brewing Company. It's himself, Jonathan BBQ, and Bearded BBQ out of Phoenix, Arizona. See how I tied all that together? Sunrise, Phoenix, Arizona. I was proud of myself with that one. But
It's a good segue.
it is a good segue. But I'm really excited for them. It's an amazing looking lager. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Being a pitmaster myself with his face on the can on Tall, Dark, and Smoky. I think we're on almost iteration 4 at this point. And that will definitely be coming back. But it's good to see more barbecuers getting beer. I wasn't a big beer drinker despite running the circuit, but I wanted to make a beer that I would drink, so I did. And it seems like that's exactly what these gentlemen are doing. And if you're interested, I'll drop the information of where you can purchase it if you're in that area. As far as I know right now, they are not shipping, but hopefully that will change in the future.
Oh yeah, another thing to celebrate. Congrats on 1 year.
Yeah.
I've only been around for like 6 months,
Yeah.
so congrats to you on 1 year.
I appreciate it. Those listening, thank you all. This Week in Barbecue did officially celebrate its 1 year. It was crazy when we got the stats. It said we created 96% more content than anyone in our category for food, which is wild. So if you are listening, please, please, please like, share, subscribe, hit that little ratings thing, give it 5 stars, 1 star, whatever you feel is right. But that really means a lot. To know that we generated that much more content in our food category is really, really like, wow. Like that's a lot. And we're just getting started. Guys, when I tell you we have so much coming your way, I mean that. Like a whole lot coming your way, so stay tuned. Well, let's shift here. What is
You want to do some questions? We didn't do questions last week, so I feel we should integrate some questions this week.
Okay, let's start it off. The top one is best thing to cook on a tiny countertop grill.
I mean, you could cook a lot of things. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, so what size grill are we talking about? Like,
I do like this. I would assume like your standard lodge griddle. I'd
Okay.
go from there. And my only thing too is if it's countertop, I'm hoping that you have great ventilation,
right?
as well, because when you're getting those high heat sears, it gets a little smoky in there.
Open up some windows.
Turn a fan on. Get creative. Get creative.
Even with the fan, you're probably gonna have to open up some windows.
Yes. Definitely. So don't do this in the dead of winter.
Locate your smoke detector and be ready to turn that off.
If necessary, if things get out of hand, have somebody there ready to fan it and, wave the towel around like, please, But I think the first thing that comes to mind is obviously steaks.
Right.
Steaks are great. And yeah, you may not get like the charred taste from like the flames and all of that stuff, but you can do like a great dry brine. You can do different types of marinades and rubs and let it really set in. Just make sure, always, 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 whenever you're making a steak, never take a ice cold piece of meat out of the fridge and drop it onto a hot surface to cook. It is not going to cook evenly. It's not going to taste that great. It's going to be tough and tight. Let it acclimate, let it temper is the actual term for a while. Let it come up to temp easily, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, slowly rise, and then get to work on it.
Skin on chicken thighs or chicken breasts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, leave the skin on. Just trust me. Go like a medium low heat on it and cook it skin side down and let that get crispy and let that fat render. And then once it gets a good color, then you can flip it and leave the bones in on the other side too,
Yes.
to protect it. And then you can kind of use that heat to like cook it throughout and pull your chicken like at 150, 155. For breast. For chicken thighs, go 170, 175 because you're not going to cook out that fat and interconnective tissue until you get to that temperature anyway.
Yeah, and remember, there is such a thing as carryover heat, so keep that in mind.
Right.
Please, I think that's just one of those things that people don't consider, and that's what leads to dried out certain cuts of meat, because it will continue to keep cooking. Just saying.
And you can make a good smash burger on a tiny.
Oh,
yeah.
Heck yeah.
So get what do you use for your smash burger? Just a really wide spatula.
I actually have a flat handle griddle from the fine folks over at Finex. So instead of the griddle lines, it's just a flat plate, and the thing is heavy as all get out. Just drop that bad boy on. I'd like lace it with a piece of wax paper or parchment, smash that on that, and let that weight hit it. So I don't have to be there.
I did the first time I did it, I just went to Home Depot and bought one of those like handled trowels and just like smash it down that way.
Yeah, yeah. Home Depot has everything you need for your barbecue needs. That you can. We just did a cook. I don't know how much of it we can say. Lee, I mean, we didn't get told we can't.
The story you're about to tell won't give away any information.
Yeah. So yeah, we did a cook and cooked on the bare bones cowboy grill. It's a 32-inch wide, just piece of metal. Had a couple of rods on there. We were cooked some lamb, some Wagyu steaks, some roasted clams, and a lot of the stuff I was using I got from the hardware section of Home Depot. That's where it came from. It's majority of what I do comes from the hardware section of Home Depot. Especially when you're doing live fire stuff, get yourself a great axe, get yourself a good set of gloves, get yourself something that puts some distance between you and the heat, a hollowed out pipe, which I use for blowing in air in tight spots so that I can keep get proper airflow and get my flames going. But that's a whole nother talk for a whole nother day. But yeah, it's get you, like you said, a trowel, smash it down and go. I dig it. So, and we're going to get someone to ask. Well, you can obviously do grill type veggies on there. You can really do stuff like face down, tomatoes, a little olive oil, a little salt. Carrots and such. Be mindful though. Make sure you're getting veggies with a lot of moisture. Tomatoes, mushrooms, things like that. That you don't have to worry about it overgoing. It's high moisture, high water content vegetables like that are just absolutely amazing for grilling because you get a great taste and it's still juicy. It's not dried out. Just putting that out there.
Dude, I love grilled zucchini, man. Grilled zucchini, grilled asparagus.
I like grilled asparagus.
Yeah.
Asparagus has like a very quick point, before it goes from perfect to overdone. So
right.
Do you blanch yours or do you just pull them a little early and let the heat finish it?
I just pull it a little early. I should probably blanch them. If I was being, but I'm too lazy. I just that's another.
You can't be lazy. You do barbecue for a living.
Well, no, I'm talking about
and you don't own a Traeger.
Right, that's true. No, when I'm cooking for myself, I don't take that extra step half the time. Actually, 95% of the time.
It's weird how much more you do when it's for others than for you.
Right.
But I just always have to feel like when I'm practicing cooking, all right, let's do every single step, get it right, because this is what you're going to have to do, form that muscle, or keep doing it till you can't get it wrong, What do we have here? Oh, well, do we want to ping back into... No, let's go ahead and... let's get another question, actually. I'm going to slaughter a lamb and cooking over a spit for the first time. any tips / recommendations?
This is all you, man.
I thought they were talking about you. I'm not gonna lie.
No. When have you ever seen me cook a lamb over a spit? Oh yeah, last Tuesday.
I mean, also like respect that they're gonna slaughter it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
you know what?
which I love, which I absolutely love, and I'm sure it's going to be a very humane slaughter and very respectful. I definitely do ask that you make the absolute most out of everything that you possibly can. Don't waste anything if possible. As far as the cook goes, remember lamb is fairly lean, so you don't want to get too crazy with the temperatures. Run it nice and slow if you're doing over a spit or an asado cross. If you're doing it perfectly leveled, keep it at least a 1.5 to 2 feet away from your coals, because coals get hot fast. And the last thing you want is to feel like you constantly have to reposition the lamb, trying to move it away from the heat. Now, with that in mind, I've cooked a lot of meats. Can't say all, but a vast majority. And something about lamb meat goes up, lamb fat, when rendered, it goes up like napalm. It's just so, the fire loves it. Coals love it. So it's going to spark up a bit. That's why I say work it on embers, not flames. Cook it on embers, not flames, really. I really wish I knew like what type of setup you were going to use. If you were going to use a cross, were you going to build up a deflector wall with bricks, or were you going to dig it down? Like, we could get really nitty gritty with this, but watch your temperatures, baste it after the seasoning and everything is set, and really make sure you don't overcook it. You can get in there like 135, 140, let the carryover run it. Nice, thin slices. I'm just excited because we had lamb last night and it was delicious. But those are my tips. Save as much of the fat as it's rendering off as you can. Like, I did a whole leg of lamb, and I was catching the drippings into a container and was letting it render out, and I used that to actually confit some cherry tomatoes, just reusing everything during the cook so that you can add as much flavor as possible. That's my tip. Hopefully it's helpful.
They asked about a spit, so let's just say that it's more of a rotisserie spit than maybe a cross. Would you do anything different?
If they've got it sprawled out, or let's just go say like they're doing it like a lechon where it's not fully butterflied and open, they've got it sort of tight. If that's the method they're doing, then I'm going to stuff the cavity with aromatics to get as much flavor and aroma in there and get those oils. I'm stuffing it with some sage, tarragon, rosemary. I'm splitting onions in half and just pinning those onto the side walls as well. So as the fat renders and it heats up, it's heating up the onions and you're getting that additional flavor to it. That way I don't have to worry and fight to baste the inside. I can just work on the exterior. And if it is a spit, hopefully you're doing a motored spit so you don't have to be the one hand cranking that thing all the time.
Well, you don't like fun? So
that's a long workout.
Another thing, are you just, when you're basting, are you just using are you taking just like a basting brush, or are you doing the thing I've seen you do where you take a bundle of herbs?
I do a bundle of herbs. I'll snag rosemary, tarragon, sage, thyme. I'll julienne the ends of some green onion or scallions. I will make my basting liquid have some acidity. Start with some lime, some lemon, a splash of red wine vinegar. Catch some of the drippings in there.
Not apple cider vinegar.
No, gosh, no, please, no. Fastest way to ruin some lamb. Put that in there, whisk that up, get some clarified butter going as well, and just slowly baste. And as it's dripping off, catch the drippings, put it back. That way it's just constantly rotating. Actually, I think I posted a clip yesterday where you see me basting the leg of lamb and the drippings are falling back into my my basting liquid, and I just keep doing it over and over, just reintroducing that flavor all the time. I think it works out well.
So when am I invited to the next cookout?
That's where this was going. Why don't you tell the people about the gentleman's agreement you'd like to instill?
All right, yeah, I got to lose some weight, got to get healthier. It's not a New Year's resolution. It's just something I need to do.
Yeah.
So,
but you've been
I'm putting in some work.
Yeah.
I got to put in the full
and
work now.
You've trimmed a little, so
Not quite yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just picked better clothes. So there's a weight goal that I need to hit, and then Rasheed will finally invite me to a cookout.
I didn't say all that. You said.
I said it, but
you said it.
But you agreed.
I don't even know if I agreed. I said put it on air. But okay, so let's go through this. Let's sort this out then. What's the time frame? Because I don't know if you know, I've already got a couple of weight loss challenges out there in the world. I've got one floating with Mr. Darren Carter of the Unknown's Black Pitmasters.
So this is a good segue into what you have going on.
Yeah, I've got that going with him to where he owes me 25 pounds that he has to lose.
Right.
I've got one with James of Corner Boys Barbecue. He had a operation, the sleeve, I believe, because he wanted to get his health under control and his weight under control. And I offered him, hey, if you lose X amount of weight in 16 months, I will give $3,000 to a charity of choosing. No questions asked, just $3,000. Just it's there, it's done. And he had the operation, he was recovering, then he jumped on a live with me. And I saw his neck for the first time ever. I don't think he's seen his neck in 20 years. And we started talking. I said, hey, I got another option for you. I said, right now I'm in for $3,000 for a charity you're choosing. It's done. But I said, if you can get to a point where in 18 months you do a 5K with me, running at least 70% of the way, I'll change the $3,000 to $5,000 of your choosing, any charity. It's up to you. You can keep it what it was or do the 5. He chose the 5. So that's out there as well. And it was matched because other people in the barbecue community started to donate onto it for the charitable donation as well. So I think we're up to like 7,200 or 7,500 total. So I was like, I'd love to see it. So what are the terms? You got to make it enticing because you see how I get down. Like, what are we? I mean,
like you're cooking a steak every week.
I'm practicing.
I want to take part of the practice. So, it was 30 pounds, and I get to come do a steak dinner.
All right, 30 pounds by when? What's the time frame on it?
Let's just say end of April. 3 months. That's a healthy weight to lose in 3 months.
Okay. All right. We'll clip this. This is notes for you, Lee. Let's make this a clip.
No,
we're putting this out there.
Don't clip it out.
Oh no, we're putting this out there because this is how.
If we want to talk more off air about some longer goals, the only charity I say is Children's Miracle Network.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we'll do that then. All right. If you hit your goal of 30 pounds by end of April or start of April.
End of April.
By end of April.
Like I'm saying, so February is a shorter month.
Yeah.
March, April. I don't healthily. You shouldn't really lose more than 10 pounds a month.
Yeah. Don't be like the Biggest Loser where they want you losing, 20 pounds an episode.
And then you're screwed because it kills your metabolism.
Okay. I'm in. You lose 30 pounds by the end of April. I will personally buy a nice juicy Snake River Wagyu.
Wagyu, okay.
Wagyu.
All right.
You get me 35, I'll do a Wagyu tomahawk.
All right, done. Yeah, it's much better than the porterhouse I made you eat last week.
Jeez. And on that note, we're going to talk about it.
Before we move too far, for anyone who's new or anyone who maybe doesn't know the full story, give me the quick version of why all of the health and fitness stuff is important to you.
So
those
listening,
thank you, Lee.
That's my right hand man, $100 grand, Lee, reminding me how to do my job because he's much better than I am. This is very true. All the health things are important to me because people, sadly, majority are motivated by money and also motivated by fear. For those who are not aware, the same day I found out I was going to be on American Barbecue Showdown is the same day I found out my father passed away of 3 heart attacks in less than 28 hours. On the 1-year anniversary of his passing, it was literally in the midst of COVID when everything went rampant and everyone realized, okay, the world shut down. I woke up that morning, cracked open a box of running shoes that I'd never worn before, and I said, hey, if I'm going to go out, it's not going to be because of something I could have possibly controlled. So I got up, laced the shoes, and went for a mile run. Landed flat on my back, sucked wind for a good 10 minutes. I was like, that was stupid. I'm never doing that again. Then I woke up and did it again every single day for the next 365 days. And I lost, at that point, 60 pounds. I didn't even recognize myself. At my heaviest, I was about 325. I was a size 42 pants, 3X in shirts, tried to squeeze into a 2X. I'd lived a sedentary life doing IT, which was weird because when Lee first met me, I was doing competition shows. I was one-handed pull-ups, one-handed push-ups. I was just, a beast. I thought I was great at the time. And I didn't like how I looked, and I didn't, obviously the health implications. I lost my father over it. It made it very evident that, hey, I've got to make a change. And I did. And I didn't eat peanuts and pine nuts and, no, I still ate the same things. I just ate them in different moderations at different times. And I was just putting out a lot of work, and I tracked it all. It's not easy, but I still do it now. And the biggest thing I can tell people is don't do this with motivation because you're not going to be motivated every day. Do it for consistency. I'd wake up, I'd mark a line on the calendar so I saw it, and I never wanted there to not be a line. And it worked out for me. So it's big. I try to help others and motivate them however I can. If it's a thing, I've had people say, like, I just don't have the money for a membership. I've paid memberships for a year for people. Like, whatever it is, if it's your health and you're genuinely trying and that's the issue, I've got you. Like, you need some help, need some direction, let's make it happen. But your health is important, and actually, your health is really the only way you can prolong your living. Everyone's like, I want to be, not everyone, the conversation like, freeze me like they did Disney, he's somewhere, or here's this elixir that makes you live longer. No, if you just live a slightly healthier life, you're actually prolonging your life more. So that's why it's important. And we've had talks about this stuff off air before. So this coming in, I've got you. I'm going to bet against myself because I'm going to be, hey, you work out? What are you doing? What you eat? I'm going to be on that ass. I'll make sure you earn this something because I'm going on. I'm like, hey guys, I need the thickest, best cut, like thick, cold peanut butter, thick tomahawk when it comes in. It's going to be a good meal.
And shout out to Jonathan Barbecue. Earn that barbecue.
Earn that barbecue, baby. That's what it is. I can't wait for the day that my phone goes off with a notification and it's Secret Pint BBQ has mentioned you in the stories. And I go look at the story and it's you doing something for Earn Your Barbecue. I'm like, Mom, he's in. It's happened. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. We would go on tour. I can't wait for
that's how I get on tour?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Everyone's got to put the work in, man. Because if I'm investing in you, I need you to invest in yourself, and health is part of it. And
then we need to talk about, so we mentioned something on last week's episode, and then you went without me. Oh, well, I shouldn't have won at all. The whole Texas Roadhouse is confirmed trash. Oh, look, I'm not even going to argue the picture of the steak you got looked like absolute garbage.
It was horrible. Garbage would have tasted better because at least garbage tastes like something. That steak had no taste. I gave Lee a piece of it. There was nothing there. I was like, did you guys just boil this and put it on my plate?
It looked like they boiled it.
It looked like boiled steak. So Texas Roadhouse out here in Georgia is serving boiled steak. Guys, do yourself a favor. Make it at home or just stop on over to somewhere you can get a good steak. Like Longhorns.
I still disagree on that. Just make it at home. Just
Yeah.
make it at home.
All I know is I spent a lot of money for horrible food, and it just confirmed to me like, yeah, I'm not doing this again.
Okay, all right.
When the bread, and it wasn't just the steak, like nothing had flavor. Like the most flavorful thing I had was the bread and the beans.
Okay.
That's all I had. That's where the flavor. I was
All
like,
right.
what are you guys doing? I like you guys. I was like, hey, maybe I should just drop off a case of like my American prime beef rub for him to like to put on there.
Yours did taste like there was
I'm looking at
There was
Lee.
nothing there.
What did you order and what did he order? Because I think
I'll be
there's
quiet. I'll be quiet.
I think there is a difference.
You already know what he ordered. I ordered a strip,
Okay.
which I do feel like was way better.
Gosh, so much better.
Which also brings me to I feel like we could go to all three and we should do like a control test. Get the
That-
same thing.
Get the same
all
thing,
three.
and yeah, because this was so. And I put the video up, and I'll go ahead and repost it again to the stories. My steak looked like it needed a tan. It legitimately looked like a boiled steak.
And what kind of steak did you get?
I got a porterhouse.
You got a porterhouse.
I got the big boy. I was like, all right, if I'm going in, I'm going all in. I was like, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. It looked so pale. And I'm not knocking anyone, but Texas Roadhouse, if anybody out there is listening, do better. That was trash. And if you think I'm joking, I'll send you the video. Because if someone from Texas Roadhouse can contact us and stand 10 toes down and say, no, we are proud of that steak, cool, I'll take it back. We'll take it back. If you would put that steak out as a steak you serve to people publicly, all the way, all right, cool. But it was trash. It was straight at.
It looked terrible.
It tasted
looked awful.
I want to say it tasted horrible, but it just didn't taste like anything. I wanted to go get a COVID test after. I was like, did I lose my sense of taste? Like we had food earlier. I tasted it back then. No, Texas Roadhouse, trash. I cannot condone that. I cannot invest. There's an amazing cat out there in the world, Keith Lee, who's doing these wonderful food and restaurant reviews to help small businesses thrive. Yeah, don't go to Texas Roadhouse. They're not a small business, and two, you're going to be extremely disappointed. You're going to be $70, out the hole, and just be looking at your life like, I need to make better decisions.
When you said Keith Lee, I thought you were going to talk about the wrestler.
No. Keith Lee is a brother based over in Vegas who has an enormous TikTok following, and now amassing a huge following on Twitter and Instagram for his genuine food responses, where he will go to different small mom and pop businesses that aren't doing well, and he's asked 3 questions. Is it the food? Is it the service? Or is it the cost? And so far, all the places he's gone have amazing of all 3. They just don't have like good marketing. So he tries to shine light on them. One of them, I believe, was Frank Stone's Pizzeria in Vegas. He went, had their pizza, talked about it, and apparently they make amazing lemon pepper wings. They do amazing garlic knots. He caused such a huge rush there. The owner said he's made more garlic knots, lemon pepper wings, and pizza in the last 7 days than he has in months, if not years. It was just an obscene amount. So shout out to Keith Lee. If you aren't familiar with him, Google him, check him out on TikTok. He's a great guy, very humbling, and his review videos are very funny because this man eats and shows expression of how good the food is with his face. So, yeah, just want to put that out there. But no, never, ever, ever. If we do have to go back to Texas Roadhouse, you're paying. I'm not doing it again. I can't give him anymore.
I will agree to that. I will agree. It's on me the next time we go to Texas Roadhouse, as long as you don't order a porterhouse.
Oh, don't go to a steakhouse and order steak.
No, I'm just saying. There's certain cuts. Knowing that Texas Roadhouse is a lower end steakhouse, porterhouse is not what I would have gone for.
I thought I went with faith in your confidence, how firm you stood by them. I was like, all right, maybe I just had a one-off experience. Nope. Now it's a 2-off.
All right.
Now it's a 2-off.
I stand corrected. Stand corrected.
We also could have chose our steaks because you can go choose your cut.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. And they just would have screwed that up too.
Did you get Pittsburgh style blue?
No, I just said rare.
Yeah, it looked like they were I don't know what to do, and they
And don't tell me you can't make a rare steak
with a sear.
with a sear and crust. We did it last night.
Yeah, they looked like, how do we do this? And they looked like they flipped it twice.
I don't even think I think they dunked it in boiling water that they were making macaroni in, and
And then got some sear marks on it.
that's literally as somebody was back there with a food safe Sharpie just drawing, just drawing grill marks on it. That's what it looked like. But enough bad food ratings. This is an interesting question. Do you ever cut the gland out of your pork shoulder when cooking it?
No, because I don't trim my, like, I'll trim the top fat of a pork shoulder and any like kind of odds and ends that are sticking out so they don't burn up.
Yeah.
But once you cook a pork shoulder and you pull it, you should be able to just pull that out.
Yeah, same. Very rare cases will I like if I see it sticking out, then I'll cut it out. I'm like, okay,
Right.
okay, I'll do that. But aside from that, I typically don't because I don't trim my shoulders. I leave the fat cap on because I'll wait till halfway through the cook when that fat's really doing its thing, and I'll snag it off, and I'll use that as the base for like a nice sofrito for my beans when I'm doing pop-ups for my pork and beans. Little fun fact: if you've ever been to a pop-up and you've had the pork and beans, there's a butt in every big vat. I cook a whole pork butt just for it, usually the biggest one. But yeah, I don't really play around with cleaning them up that way unless I visually see it sticking out. I'm like, okay, this has to go.
That's more of a competition thing.
It is a competition thing.
Yeah.
Good thing we don't compete. Someone asks, can we cook your favorite meal together? I'll get the groceries and the wine.
That's for you.
Well, you never know. They like you more. We've been through this. It could have been for both of us, honestly. Do I have a favorite meal? I don't know.
I mean, they screwed up by the wine. It should have been a bottle of bourbon.
Exactly. So that lets me know from rip like that. That's just not how I get down. I'm all brown here. I'm not smart enough to appreciate wines.
I don't like them just because they make me pass out. Like I drink a thing of wine, I'm ready for a nap. It's over.
Oh, speaking of drinks, we are enjoying. Ooh, sorry, that just hit me. That was good. We are enjoying this fine glass, as we mentioned. Thank you, Matt, for sending this over to us. It is absolutely amazing. But we were spoiled last night with, what would you say, Lee? Undoubtedly, probably like the best bourbon we'll never ever get to have again.
Yeah, because it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Lee just looked sad when you told him about it. Like,
No, it's legit. It's so. Shout out to Ken. And we appreciate the bottle, Ken. Really. Ken brought us this amazing bottle.
Maybe I'll even throw up a picture of the bottle just because no one can get it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm mad about that.
So am I. Ken brought us a bottle from Woodford. Now, Woodford had produced a run like they always do. Then this was a mistake run. It was a mistake because the vats never got cleaned and they distilled and ran everything through. And then they tasted like, well, this is not the normal. But it's hands down probably the absolute best bourbon I've ever had. And it was a mistake. And they bottled the mistake, and that was it. They sold it only at the distillery, only for 2021. And it's not in stores.
It wasn't even full bottles. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like 20 ounces.
Maybe 20 at that. So he gave us the best thing that we can never get again. It's like, great. Kind of ruined it for me.
well, see, this is what I'm missing out on.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to hunt, right? Well, last night was a private dinner. That was
Yeah.
yeah. It was a bomb menu though. There was a lot of Wagyu, and it made me remember, like, man, I forgot how good the stuff is. Costly but good. But I'm on the hunt. Before I end up in the ground, I am going to find that bottle. I'm going to hit every contact I possibly can, starting with the cats over at Nearest, and be like, hey, you guys do swaps and trades. Somebody find this bottle for me. I've already put it up on social media, like, please find this bottle. It was just so good, and I'm just happy we got to enjoy it. As upsetting as it is to know that we can never get it again, I'm so glad to have tasted it and be like, wow, that's a delicious mistake.
I legitimately think that that's just what Woodford should make.
Yes.
Like, forget Woodford as is. It should be that bottle.
It should be that bottle.
Yeah.
It should be that bottle. No, it's
Make that mistake again.
make that mistake again, and that segues into another topic for us: stories of our least profitable pop-ups. Because it seemed like we got a lot of good feedback from people asking, or people enjoying us talking about our early days as starting off. So I'll shoot it to you. What has been your least profitable pop-up? How much did you put into it? Ballpark, if you can remember. And how much did you make or not make, I should say?
So when I started pop-ups, I guess I should preface by saying that I got the wrong impression of what all pop-ups were going to be. Because my first pop-up was just like hit the ground running, and it was awesome. And so you get that wake-up call in the second pop-up. Yeah. Where you're like, oh, okay, this is more reality. And I still did good on the second pop-up. So when I was first starting out, I was any brewery or any place that would have me, I was like, I'll go do it.
Yeah.
I'll go do it. So, and I did that kind of halfway into my second year of pop-ups too. So I'll tell two different stories.
Okay.
I was scheduled to do a pop-up at this one brewery kind of out in the middle of nowhere compared to the other breweries I was doing. And they asked me, he's like, hey, we had someone drop out last minute. Can you come and do a pop-up like that evening? Or the evening, like in a week or so. And I was going to do them in 2 weeks' time. So I was like, I don't know. And then my sister was like, oh, hey, I'm coming in town. Sorry, Ashley. I'm not blaming this on you. This is just where I should have followed my gut. She was like, can you do a pop-up? Like, I would love to have your stuff. I was like, all right, yeah, we'll do it. And so I went and did like an evening pop-up. And I know my hours. I know what hours I sell the most at. I know when I do well. And it's usually between 1 and 2:30. So I agreed to do something that I was going to start at 5. And get there, and it was dead. It was deader than dead. So with ingredients and everything, I was probably in $600 or $700. Then paying help and everything, I was probably in $800, $900. And I think I could look up the numbers now. You know what? Screw it. Let's do this real quick.
Oh gosh.
Off camera. Look up the numbers. Okay, so I have never done anything worse than this pop-up.
Okay, well that's good. At least you're not going that far backwards. That's important.
Yeah.
We're only going forward.
I gotta look back 2 years and the Square reports real quick.
And that's things for people out there. While Brian's getting that info, if you're starting, there are certain advantages. If you're really a small business and you're really just starting your pop-up stuff, getting Square really does help. This isn't sponsored by Square, but however Square wants to reach out, please do. But doing little tricks like they will give you, they won't charge you for the tap to pay, depending sometimes when they're running specials for like the first 100 or the first 1,000, depending on which one. I've done where if when I bought the tap reader, that they wouldn't charge me the fee for the first like 500 transactions that are tap to pay. So I would put a sign out at the front saying, tap to pay first option if available, so that people would do that, and that could sort of help me with costs on the back end. But you've got those numbers?
Yeah, $501 on 19 sales. So my average ticket price is usually somewhere between $35 and $40, and it was $26.
Wow. I have you beat by so much, it's embarrassing.
Oh yeah, no. Like I'm lucky if that was my bad one.
Yeah.
Well, I did them in 2 weeks, and it only went up like $110.
Oh, wow.
But I made way less. Only worked with one other person that time. So I basically broke even on I may have made like $50 on the next one, but I never went back. And then there was another brewery that I did that they just didn't have the space to set up. So like we had to park across the street, carry stuff across like a busy intersection. Our tables were crooked. So like at one point, my buddy Thomas, who helped me with the pop-ups at the time, he opened it and like the pork belly burn-ins almost slid out of the can, bro. We're outside and it's like, so they have the barriers kind of like you know, like certain breweries, they have the barriers where they kind of set up partly into the street so they can set up tables.
Yeah.
So I'm slicing brisket like as a MARTA bus is riding past, like looking at me. So we did fine, but it wasn't worth all the extra thing. And so shout out to Thomas, Kelly, and Chris. Love them. They helped me so much through the first year and a half and 2 years of doing this.
You gotta get Thomas on.
But they told me if you ever do this again, we quit. Like they were like, we're never again. And they just did a pop-up like 2 months before that where it was like 40 degrees with winds and they couldn't get the burners working for another friend. And they're like, this was worse.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. So your experience. Wow. Okay. Well. All right. Mine. I was doing a pop-up. This is right. You know, still cutting my teeth. I actually believe. So I get this question a lot. Hey, Sheed, I want tips on how to barbecue. Go to YouTube, hit Rasheed Phillips, then hit my business of barbecue or Barbecue 101 business. There's literally 98 videos because I did a vlog every single day for 98 days and stopped at 98 days because I got hit with the flu and it put me on my ass. But I did a video every day highlighting a different part of what I was actually doing for the business that day. From starting how to get your LLC, to get your shirts, to proper vendors, to how to reach out, to market, all of it's there. If you don't want to do the work after I told you that, there's nothing I can do for you. I'm not going to hold your hand, but the information is there. During that process, one of those videos is my lowest profitable event. I was doing a pop-up at Jekyll Brewing, the original location.
Oh yeah, you're naming names. I'm being nice and not.
No, because it wasn't that. It wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault.
Okay,
so, and like I said, I pay the bills here. Fuck them. I don't care.
Right.
Jekyll Brewing, great. Back when I was with them, the original crew, Crew Tyler and everybody. Shout out to everyone. Nick, I love them all being there. Ashley, I did a pop up, and I don't know what it was, but it was one of those days where everything that could go wrong went wrong. I always have my go boxes prepped and ready to go. I'd load it up. I went, I got there, didn't have my go box. Now, why is the go box important? Go box has my payment system, my cutting boards, my knives, the sternos, everything to actually run the business, the iPad, all of it. Couldn't figure out where the hell my go box was. I think I ended up leaving it at the comm. I was like, well, damn. Because I loaded it on. I had to get something else off to make room, and I just never loaded it back. So I'm there. I can't make it to the comm and back. I'm going to miss everything. Then out of nowhere, the sky goes pitch black, and it just starts pouring. I've got all this food. I've got all this stuff. I have nothing to serve it with. So if you've ever been to the original Jekyll location, you know that there's a Walmart about 20 minutes away. So I'm like, screw it, I got to go to the Walmart. I set up what I can there, put up a sign, be right back, go to Walmart, but it is pouring. What should take 20 minutes takes 40 one way. Get back a little over an hour later. What crowd was there has basically dissipated because of the storm. I'm there using the world's smallest cutting board, and Walmart, it's not Restaurant Depot. We're not going to get great knives. I've got a freaking turquoise knife. It was either turquoise knife or the watermelon patterned knife.
Was it actually still like plastic too?
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's what the options were, and I was like, okay, that's all. All right, let's figure this out. So I'm doing what I can. No one's there. I'm out hundreds of dollars. I think I was averaging, my average spend at the time was about $500 to $600 on an event. And I would make really good profit on that. And mind you, I still hadn't tightened up the menu. I was still doing the kitchen sink menu. By the end of the night, I think I made $52 with tips.
All right. Yeah. You have me beat by a long shot.
Yeah, I was, and I made it in that video. That video is out. Maybe I'll link the video that I made during that series in the show notes. But I was just like, That sucked. But I'm going to still do it again.
So here's a really helpful tip because you reminded me that you forgot your Go box. I have totally showed up at a pop-up and realized it didn't have my Square reader, like my for payments, and I didn't have the extra little tap thing. So I had to drive back. I think it ended up being like an hour and 20 minutes after like back and forth. And luckily people waited and
Yeah.
it was fine. Like everybody was super cool. They waited. Shout out to Round Trip Brewing because the next time I showed up, they were like, "Did you remember your Square reader?"
No. So for me, I had the thin tap and the chip, and just when the chips were
Right,
really
right.
big. Gosh, I was doing this a long time ago. Goodness gracious. But I still had the original headphone adapter swiper
Right.
that I always kept in the glove box.
Okay,
Like I
that's smart.
always have, even to this day. Like if I do a pop up now, it's in the glove box. It's already there.
Right.
It's certain things are. Lee laughed at me because yesterday we were packing up for the event to go, and I said, "Tell me you're always cooking with open fire without telling me you're cooking with open fire." And like in all my trucks in the door panels, is a box of matches and rolled hay and a folded strip of butcher paper. So no matter what truck I grab, I can always go start a fire. Always start a fire.
Which is like a little handful of stuff.
Yeah, I was like, I'm ready to go.
Ready to go.
And that's my thing. They all have rolled hay, folded butcher paper, box of matches, and an axe. All my trucks. I'll keep them in there.
I will say the best tip you can give someone starting a pop up: make a list of everything you're gonna need, and double check that list.
Yeah.
Hell, be thorough. Make sure the list of everything you need is on the list.
That's a good breakout. So let's do this. Let's close it out with our best tips for pop-ups. So you gave that, and that is actually true. And what I would add on to that is, if your event is Sunday, right? Don't wait till Saturday to pack your gear. Pack during the week. Pack on Wednesday, and I guarantee you, most times Thursday, Friday, you'll remember. Oh yeah, it'll be nice to have this. That way, you still have time to go get X, Y, and Z. So I actually do a full pack out, and I pack everything how I would unload it. Well, I'm going to have tables. Well, the tables, tablecloths, all right? Hot pan holders, all right? My heat source, great. The lids, lighter to light the sternos, great. Utensils, load that stuff in there. So you're like, okay, I know how it goes. Because even when we do events, everyone's like, oh, I'll help you. No. I have to do this in my head because it has to go in a certain way because I take it out a certain way. But no, I definitely love the list idea. I would also say plan for just stuff to go wild and crazy, and just always have like a oh shit button just ready to, like, that one down. I've got that. Pack extra of everything. Don't pack the right amount. Pack extra of all of it. Extra sternos, extra foil. Pack aluminum foil. Pack extra to go boxes. You know, all that jazz.
Extra utensils, extra napkins.
Yes.
Message the venue you're going to do it at and see if they have power. If you rely on power, make sure you have access to power.
Yes, and if you don't, get yourself a good generator.
Right.
Crank your generator. Anyone who brings a generator to an event, crank it the day before. Make sure it cranks. Make sure it goes. Make sure it's working. Make sure it's stopped off.
Oh, so two things. So you mentioned like you unpack everything in order. So shout out to Kelly, Thomas and Kelly. They again helped me through a lot. And so
Your Thomas and Kelly's my Lee and Corey.
yeah. So Kelly came in and was like, look, you need to have all your boxes labeled so that when we pack up from a thing or pack up from an end of a event, all of the stuff is going to go in the same box so you know it's there for the next event. You're not just throwing stuff in random boxes. You know, okay, here's all my front end equipment. Here's all my cleaning equipment. Here's all the power equipment. So it's all going to go in the same box so that you know, all right, we packed up everything. It's in there. You don't have to like worry about, it's like, oh, I need to double check and make sure and go try and hunt down which box is in which. So when you get to an event, you can be like, okay, here's my front end equipment, unload it, ready to go. That's it's going to have all your tablecloths and the square reader. The other thing is Square Reader likes to update.
Oh,
Have you ever been there where
you go to open up and it's time for an update?
Yeah, and so definitely had that happen at the MARTA pop up.
Oh.
So we were actually handing out numbers while we waited for the update, so that people didn't have to wait in line. They could be like, "We'll call you back when your number's ready."
Yeah, yeah.
And it will take like sometimes 20, 30 minutes if you have a good Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about Wi-Fi connection, make sure your phone can be a hotspot.
Mm-hmm.
I never relied on a brewery's Wi-Fi connection. I always used my own hotspot if I could. That way I knew that I would always have that Square Reader running.
No, yeah, and that's a very good one. These are solid tips, guys, for anybody out there in the game. I'll give you more of like a food service one too. When you're slicing and dicing, you're doing your thing, have 2 different colored gloves. Whatever your dominant hand is, have that black. Then whatever your non-dominant hand is, have that blue or bright orange, because as you're doing your whole slicey dicey, you may clip the tip of your glove, and a black on black glove on brisket or bark, you can't tell. But if you have your non-dominant hand holding the meats that you're slicing, you've got that bright orange or blue that's going to stick out. So that's just one of those little things that I've just done that just makes things much, much easier. Also, when you're slicing, get the biggest cutting board. Don't get what fits. Get the biggest cutting board.
Get a giant cutting board.
Like you got booze. There's a lot out there. Just get a big cutting board so you have extra wiggle room. You have time, and yeah, there's a lot. Maybe we should do that next episode. Maybe we'll lead off some more. We'll get these tips out there, but we'll crank up our
I have a few just for if you're gonna do barbecue and slicing. I have a really good one. So you can minimize your cleanup. So maybe we do another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that. But before we go, I will, if you guys didn't, please go back to and check the show notes. Now you can go to thisweekinbarbecue.com and actually see everything there. But Brian provided us with his barbecue metal playlist. I will be adding to this episode's show notes my Chill Vibes cook playlist for when I'm barbecuing. So tune in, check it out.
You're a little less angry than me.
Well, I'm a mellow cat. It's a Jamaican in me, just kind of ride it out. Everything's like right here, even keel all the way. But no, this was a good one. I really, I think it was good, man. I had a fun time. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely.
And you've got your pop-up this week.
As always, I will be,
Bolshie?
for right now, Bolshie, which is off of Holcomb Bridge Road, off of 400 in the North Atlanta, Johns Creek, Alpharetta.
I'm going to try to make it by again. I definitely dug it.
Yeah, so you got to try the infamous Waffle House link.
Oh, it slaps. If you're in earshot and within range, it's definitely worth the drive. Can you let us know what's on the menu?
So Waffle House is off the menu.
Okay.
Doing a roasted poblano and Oaxaca link this week for the special.
Okay.
Also, so I came back from Texas with some Goldie's mustard barbecue sauce and Goldie's brisket rubs. So I'm going to make some Goldie's style pork belly burn ends for special.
Okay.
So that will be like a 1 week special that we're running this week, and then just the normal menu: brisket, ribs, sausage, pulled pork, all the fun stuff.
All the classics.
And solid mac and cheese.
Good. All right. Well, I dig it. I'm excited. I can't wait to try. I'm gonna definitely try to make it out there. I got there for the first one. Had to definitely show support.
Much appreciated.
Anytime. Love seeing you interact with everybody. But once again, guys, ladies and gentlemen, this has been This Week in Barbecue, where we focus on the good, the bad, and everything in between in the world of barbecue. I've been your host, Rasheed Phillips, and joining me, as always, is my amazingly bearded wonder, Mr.
Brian Hull.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember, tell a friend to tell 2 friends.